This is Mac OS Ken.
Another Apple v. Epic ruling. Bad guys target Mac users through chatbots. And F1 the movie hits Apple TV. It is Friday, the 12th of December, 2025. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken. Brought to you by yours truly and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSCan. The Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals has heard arguments in the never-ending battle between Apple and Epic. While a piece from Engadget frames the court's decision as mostly a loss for Apple, Cupertino Company didn't go away empty-handed. Jogging the memory a bit, U.S. Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers had originally agreed that Apple was entitled to some sort of commission for sales that happened outside Apple's App Store. Apple knocked that commission down technically, though not practically. In the App Store, Apple was charging a 30% commission. The commission charged through linkouts from the App Store was 27%. The judge later ruled that amount violated her previous order and said instead, Apple was entitled to no commission on sales outside the App Store. In May of this year, Apple responded with an emergency motion to appeal that finding. That brings us to yesterday's findings with the Ninth Circuit. According to Engadget, the judges said Apple is entitled to something. They don't get to set the rate by themselves this time, though. A piece on Thursday's ruling from 9 to 5 Mac had the court encouraging Apple and Epic to agree on a rate, or rely on the court to establish fair policy. Additionally, Apple gets a little more control over messaging in the App Store. It's not on the messages themselves, but how those messages are presented. According to 9 to 5 Mac, Apple is allowed to require buttons, links, and calls to action to be no larger or more prominent than Apple's in-app purchase options. Deepwater's Gene Munster is out with his predictions for 2026, 3 of which deal directly with Apple. He thinks the much-anticipated second coming of Siri will happen by the end of April, and that it will be well received. The way Munster sees it, a successful, smarter Siri is at the top of Tim Cook's to-do list, which means the odds of success are high. Oh, he of tremendous faith. If that goes poorly or fails to materialize, Mr. Munster thinks Cook will be there to take the heat. Prediction number 2 has Cook sticking around. With the recent shuffling in the executive ranks, the Deepwater peeps believe Tim Cook will remain CEO of Apple at least until the end of 2027. They do not expect any announcements on the topic in 2026. And finally, for you financial folk, Munster and pals think ticker symbol AAPL will be the best performing stock in the so-called Magnificent Seven for the first half of 2026, though Google will win the year in their estimation. January to June, though, it is all about iPhone exceeding expectations in the December and March quarters, according to the analyst. That'll be helped by increased excitement over that smarter Siri, and even more AI stuff expected in 2027. How seriously should we take Mr. Munster's predictions? Well, he was mostly wrong last year, earning a score of 4.5 out of 10 by his own count and accounting. Props to him, though, for running last year's list right below this year's list and for pointing out his own mistakes. Also, the one time he mentioned Apple by name in the 2025 predictions, he got it right. Heading into the year, Munster predicted that Apple and Tesla would receive tariff waivers if Trump were to execute his proposed China tariffs. Though they didn't escape them entirely unscathed, Munster considers most of that bullet dodged by both companies. Would you let $6.40 stand between you and a new iPhone? A piece from the South China Morning Post says Apple customers in selected mainland Chinese cities can now get a new iPhone delivered to their door for free within 3 hours, as the U.S. tech giant steps up efforts to defend its turf in the world's largest smartphone market. Starting this past Wednesday, the report says 3-hour delivery is free for in-stock items, including iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, MacBook Pro, MacBook Air, and AirPods. The piece says the move is part of Apple's renewed push to win over Chinese consumers amid fiercer competition from domestic rivals such as Huawei Technologies. But here's the thing, 3-hour delivery has been available since 2022 for an additional 45 yuan, roughly $6.40 US. I'm not sure that amount is the make or break South China Morning Post seems to think, or seems to want readers to think it thinks. Anyway, some of Apple's higher-end products now get free 3-hour delivery in select Chinese metros. Other products will incur a delivery fee of 45 yuan, roughly $6.40 US, according to the report. You know and trust your friend. Your friend knows and trusts their friend. Do you know and trust your friend's friend? This is a question about artificial intelligence. 9 to 5 Mac says ne'er-do-wells are tricking ChatGPT into tricking users into installing malware on their Macs. Basically, hackers chat with ChatGPT, telling it about a terminal command. The miscreants then make that chat public. Then they pay Google to promote the link to that chat. Google does what it's paid to do, putting the chat near the top of search results for certain terms. Folks follow the instructions in that chat, in that link, and whammo. ChatGPT is not the only artificial friend abusing friends thanks to double plus untrustworthy friends. The same was done with Twitter's Grok, according to the report. Search terms targeted were things like free up storage on Mac, clear disk space on Mac OS, how to clear data on iMac, and clear system data on iMac. The 9 to 5 Mac take is pretty straightforward. Pasting commands into terminal without understanding them is a dangerous thing to do at the best of times. If you do it at all, you should ensure that you absolutely trust the source. Sponsored results in Google are not at all trustworthy. Hey, remember how people were expecting blank OS 26.2 updates this week? Guess not. I mean, I assume they're not going to ship on a Friday, right? Assuming they don't, the week was not completely devoid of updates. 9 to 5 Mac ran a piece Thursday saying Apple had released firmware updates for AirPods Pro 3 and AirPods Pro 2. Bug fixes and other improvements are the stated reasons on Apple's AirPods update support page. No, you don't need to know what improvements. Just relax and know that Apple's doing something in your noggin. We'll wrap the day and the week with notes from the Phantom Zone. News of a new movie from Apple that is way the heck off in the distance. Deadline says Apple Original Films has bought a pitch for a feature adaptation of The Teacher, the bestseller from genre author Freida McFadden. Nothing official. The news comes compliments of secret people. Secret people. They're probably not hiding in your
closet waiting for just the right moment.
Apple declined to comment for the Deadline piece. I could tell you more, but since it's not official and since nobody has written word one besides the pitch, why? A Charlie Brown Christmas is free to stream this weekend. As discussed around Thanksgiving, for the past couple of years, Apple TV has made Charlie Brown holiday specials that used to be on broadcast TV free to stream for a limited time, no Apple TV subscription required. This is the weekend for a Charlie Brown Christmas. Apple has the show streaming this weekend, Saturday the 13th of December and Sunday the 14th, subscription free. You can catch that through the Apple TV app, available on Apple TVs, tablets, game consoles, computers, and smartphones. It's probably available through the browser as well at tv.apple.com. And finally today, cool as the whole holiday thing is, there's a pretty good chance it's going to be drowned out by the roar of high-performance engines and techno beats this weekend. On Apple TV anyway, F1, the movie, has finally roared onto Apple TV, the subscription service. There's no way you can't know what that's about at this point, so I'm not going to insult you by saying, start your engines. Or don't. macOS Ken, brought to you by me, and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSCan. Advertising handle by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can find me on Mastodon, macOSCan at mastodon.social. You can also send me an email, info@macoscan.com. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.